Hi, hello, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a March reading wrap up. So I read 5 books in March. These are them. It's a huge departure from February where I read like 20 something books. Sometimes you just have months where you read more and other times you have months where you read less. One of the biggest draws, well, I almost read 6 books because I have about 100 pages left of another book. But a big issue for me this month was that I read nonfiction, and nonfiction is a much slower read for me and it takes me a lot longer to get through. And then I did read some longer books too. So, yeah, it's okay. Reading is about what brings you enjoyment, and all of the books that I read brought me enjoyment. So I'm happy with it. I think it was a good month. Let's go ahead and get started with the books that I read and their ratings. So the first book that I read was It's Not the End of the World by Judy Blume. And in this book, it's a children's chapter book. What's it rated for? Yeah, ages 8 to 12. So it's not even, I don't think it's even considered middle grade. So this one follows our main character, Karen, whose parents are fighting all the time. She's got this stinky older brother that she cannot stand most of the time. And she's got a baby sister who is the apple of everyone's eye. She's going through it in 6th grade. And life seems to be not working out. And it's the end of the world for her. And something happens that really makes it the end of the world. Her parents say that they are getting a divorce. And Karen thinks that this is possibly the worst thing that could ever have happened in the history of happenings. So I rated this one 3.5 stars. I think it was good. I think for an 11-year-old or a 8-year-old reading this, going through what Karen's going through, I think this would be a very powerful read. I personally do not have the experience that Karen went through, since I was more the age of her little sister when my parents got divorced. And it was a different situation, different world. It is a little bit dated, I think. But all in all, I think the feelings that are there, really great. I really enjoyed the characters. They were very real. Yeah, 3.5 stars. Would recommend to a child whose parents are going through a divorce and needs a character that they can relate to. Next, I read The Eye of the World, which is the first Wheel of Time book by Robert Jordan. In this book, let me get my description out because honestly, I have a hard time describing what happens. So yeah, this doesn't even cover it. So when Two Rivers is attacked by Trollocs, a savage tribe of half men, half beasts, 5 villagers flee that night into a world they barely imagined, with new dangers awaiting in the shadows and the light. It follows a ragtag group of villagers who seem to be destined to take part in this great event taking place between good and evil, the Dark Lord or whoever is in the big evil in this world. And they seem to be connected to him in some way. They seem to be connected to either his downfall or his uprising. We don't know. And they go on a quest to basically get out of that town. They're fleeing all sorts of danger, constantly being attacked. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. I rated it 3.75 stars. I'm trying to remember why it was 3.75 stars for me. Did I write a review? It wasn't a 5-star because I'm not obsessed with it. I did really, really enjoy this. I think that the biggest drawback is that this is not something that I can recommend to everyone. This is high fantasy. I think it's, I don't know if this is the first of its kind or if it's derivative of other things or other things are derivative of it. I don't know, but it's not a story that's unfamiliar to me. And for that reason alone, I think it's a 3.75 stars. I also think that some of the characters are a little obnoxious. But I believe that there's going to be room for growth. So I did go ahead and talk about this in detail in one of my Friday Reads videos. So I will link that one up somewhere over here. And yeah, The Wheel of Time. I'm excited to be starting this. I think it's going to be a fun series, and I read it a lot faster than I expected to. So, and it is a bigger book. It's like 730 pages. I don't know. It was good. I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to continuing on with the series. Next up, we have In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. This book is a nonfiction crime thriller that is a telling of the, hold on, because he describes it really good here. The murder, investigation, capture, trial, and execution of the killers of the Clutter family, who were murdered in their home on November 15th, 1959. So I gave this one 3.75 stars, I think. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, 3.75 stars. I really, really enjoyed this. I read it in like 3 days, which is unheard of for a nonfiction book. We'll talk about the other nonfiction book later. But this book really captured my attention. The writing was very poignant, and I enjoyed my time with it. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed learning about the characters. I feel like he did a really good job painting a picture of the murderers, of the family that was murdered, of the small town and the little people that were involved in finding the family and just the investigation and all of that. I think that was really, really well done. However, and this is what brought it down from a 4-star to a 3.75 star. At the end of the book, there is, when they're on death row, he goes into detail about the other prisoners. And I just didn't see not that it was bad, but I just didn't see the point. And I probably could have been a good like 25 to 50 pages shorter if they had cut that part out. And I just didn't think it was necessary to the story, honestly. So other than that, though, this book was honestly really good. I'm not obsessed with it because it's, unfortunately, I have a hard time rating nonfiction 5 stars because I'm just not obsessed with them. But I did really enjoy this, and I would definitely recommend. It is a modern classic. Yeah, I can't, recommend this enough for somebody who's wanting to read nonfiction, who doesn't really read nonfiction, or someone who's hesitant about classics. Maybe this is the one to pick up. I really, really enjoyed my time with that one, and I'm excited to talk about it with my book club. The next book I read was Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. I read this one, actually, I have the physical copy from my library, but I actually read it on my Kobo, and I really, really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4.5 stars. It follows Theodora Eddings, who has no sense of fear or embarrassment because she has only half of her soul. When she was a child, a fairy took half of it, and so now she just has very minimal feelings. And she goes to London for the opening of the season, and the Lord Sorcier, who is this very odd character, he is not well loved in society. He takes a liking to her, and he becomes very interested in her case. His name is Elias, and they basically decide that they're going to try and find a cure for her. But in the process, they end up falling in love. And it is kind of like a Regency romantasy. It's really fun. I had a really good time reading this. It is zero spice, just banter. So if you are a reader who does not like smut in their books, this is a great romance to pick up. I love this. Whimsical, witty, and brimming over with charm. India Holton, the woman who wrote, I'm trying to remember what the name of that book was. I read it recently. It has a really long Ornithologist's Guide to Love or something like that. She blurbed this on the back, and I thought her writing was just so whimsical and witty and stuff too. So if she's saying this about this book, you can trust that it is. But it is very it's whimsical. It's delightful. It's, yeah, I ate this up. 4.5 stars. Had so much fun with it. I'm not describing this very well, but I'm doing my best. It's the morning. It's been a hard time. I haven't eaten breakfast yet, and here we are. Anywho, the last book that I finished, literally March 31st, is Libby Lost and Found by Stephanie Booth. I rated this one 3.5 stars, and I'm wondering whether that's a little bit high for me. This one follows Libby Weeks, who is a author, who is an author under the pen name of FT Gold Hero, for this super popular children's fantasy series. And she is diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's or dementia. And, she needs help finishing her last book before she cannot remember the characters. She goes to a super fan, Peanut, and gets to ask for her help in finishing the book because Peanut knows these books better than possibly even Libby does. Peanut feels like these books are literally written about her. There's a lot of similarities between Peanut's life and the main characters' lives, and even the town that she lives in. So Libby goes to this tiny town where Peanut lives in the hopes of being able to finish her series before she dies. There are lots of trigger warnings in this one, so definitely check those before you read it. I did like this, and I also didn't. I have very complicated feelings. I really, really found the characters to be lovable. However, I think they make very flawed decisions, which is very realistic. And maybe that's my problem with it, is that it's very realistic and I didn't want realism. It was very real, while also being very fantastical. It's like a conundrum. It really is. I was very confused reading this in many parts. You're stuck in Libby's perspective and she has dementia. And so you have a hard time understanding what is going on because Libby has a hard time understanding what's going on. And you also are stuck in Peanut's perspective, who lives in this fantastical world that Libby has created, and really believes that these books are real and that her life is these books. And so you kind of have this departure from reality the entire book. It made it very hard to understand what was going on. I'm still, by the ending, I'm still processing what exactly happened and what is real and what is not real, because for a minute there I thought it was one ending, but then I read like kind of like an epilogue-y type of thing, and then I was like, oh, maybe that's not what's going on. So I'm even confused by the ending. Yeah, I'm very confused by this book, which is why maybe it's not a 3.5. Maybe it's more like a 3, because I am very confused by the book. I really, really wanted to enjoy it. I really think there were things that I did enjoy about it, but it was so confusing that I'm having a hard time recommending the book. So that is Libby Lost and Found. That's what I ended the month with. However, throughout the month, I was picking up Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. This is a nonfiction collection of nature essays about basically the reciprocal relationship between humans and plants. It is very good, very well written, lots to highlight and dissect. However, I found that you probably should read like an essay here and there, not binge read it, because it becomes a little bit monotonous. I have about 100 pages left and I've had a hard time picking it up because I read all of this, the first 282 pages. I read them consecutively and I probably shouldn't have. I should have broken it up throughout the month. But all in all, it is a really good book. I've got about 100 pages left and I do plan on finishing it in April, but I just wanted to throw in there that I did have all of that read. I almost finished this book in March. And yeah, that is my chaotic March reading wrap up. Thank you for sticking through with me and seeing that through. As you can see, I have very little recollection of some of these books because lots happened this month. And yeah, nonfiction, it gets screwy with my brain. I want to be a nonfiction person. I want to read nonfiction, and I think that I need to, but it definitely just pulls me out of like my reading groove. So yeah, that was March, and I am looking forward to my reading in April. I will be getting a April TBR out to you real soon. And yeah, that's all I've got for you. If you have read any of these books, I'd love to hear your thoughts on them, especially if you have read the Wheel of Time series. Let me know what you think. And if you've read Libby Lost and Found, I really want to hear your thoughts on it. I'm so confused by that ending. So if you have thoughts about the ending, please let me know. I thought I had thoughts, but I don't know if I do anymore. So go ahead and leave those in the comments below. If you made it this far and you don't have anything to say, but you want to leave a comment to let me know you were here, go ahead and leave a green heart for Half a Soul, since that was my favorite book of the month. And I will see you in the next video.